Welcome everyone to part 32 of What If Dale Survived the Remake. Now, still can't believe that we're this far into a series, the longest running one of any kind of series on the channel, which I literally teased, so that shouldn't come as a surprise. But last time, we got into much more in-depth Alexandria stuff, along with the confrontation with Pete being much different, especially with how Rick is now, and Dale, out of the corner of his eye, seeing Glenn go out of the gates and climb over the gates, because Dale didn't know it was Nicholas that he was going after. And that's where we resume the story today. But before that, really quick, you guys should definitely hit that subscribe button, because if any of you oldies or newbies haven't noticed, the content on this channel has been spruced up to an absolute 100. Now, all that being said, you should definitely check out all the new movies and stuff that I've added also, and anything that's about to come for the future. So you should definitely hit that subscribe button. Anyway, let's resume the story as of today. So, Dale manages to find where Glenn is because he saw him go out, so Dale goes after. And when he runs into Glenn, he finds him almost being buried and killed by walkers and manages to save him, even though Glenn saved himself, but Dale this time is just an extra backup. And once he does save him, he asks Glenn, "What are you doing out here, for one? And what's going on?" He just demands to know why are you out here and what's going on and everything. Glenn, for one thing, didn't expect Dale to be he and Dale obviously have been close since the start, and he didn't, while expecting Dale to maybe follow him, he wasn't expecting it in this case. He thought he was being sneaky, because no one saw him before in the original story. But even though he should have expected this from Dale, he just tells him that he is out here because of Nicholas, because it was Nicholas's fault that Noah died. He was a scaredy cat. He opened the doors whenever he told him not to, and that's what got Noah killed. And because of Aiden and Nicholas's stupidity, that led to Tara getting injured too. And he's out here because Nicholas just won't listen. And he didn't know why he left the walls whenever he told him not to. And then he tried to kill him. Dale says, "So basically what you're telling me is that because of this kid Nicholas, Noah is dead, Tara is injured, and he tried to kill you." And Glenn says, "Yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell." And after that, Dale is like, "Well, then we gotta do something about this." And Glenn is like, You're not seriously going to think about killing someone finally, are you?" And Dale says, No. He's not thinking about that. He suggests to detain him and make sure, they can shoot him or something like that, but they're going to basically pull what they did with Rick when he was crazy back at Gabriel's church. They're going to make sure that he is under control for good, and he never leaves, and he finally listens. So what they're going to do is, they're going to make a plan here to find where Nicholas is, and the two of them will act, detain Nicholas, and bring him back to Alexandria. Everybody wins. But it's gonna go a little bit more differently than they might think. So the plan is set in motion. Soon enough, Dale comes across Nicholas running, or making his way back to Alexandria, kind of running. Dale sees this, and now is the time to strike. He jumps in the way of Nicholas, very surprising to Nicholas. Dale just came out of nowhere, and he asks, "What are you doing out here?" And he doesn't know if Dale caught onto his plan, but he's just genuinely curious why he's out here. And Dale says, "Well, I saw Glenn exit the walls back at the council room with Deanna, and I wanted to go check on him and see what was going on, but all I've found so far is you. So, I have no idea where Glenn is, but I know he came out here. So, do you know where Glenn is? And for another thing, you should not be the one asking me if I'm out here. I should be the one asking you why you're out here. And Dale is very clearly trying to deceive Nicholas and lie his way so that Nicholas can confide and maybe they can detain him easier than, like, if Nicholas tried to resist. But Dale is very clearly lying right now. And Nicholas doesn't sense any sarcasm or, like, lies or anything within Dale. Not Dale. And he's about to come up with an excuse or a lie of his own to try and worm his way out of the situation. Now, originally, the plan would have been like such. Dale was going to just talk to him, and then Glenn was going to jump out, attack him, and that way they could detain him and bring him back to Alexandria, right? Nobody gets hurt, right? It was going to be an easy plan. But, however, there's one major big thing. Dale's mind, right at that moment, before Nicholas can even say anything, flashes. And before his eyes, he sees the moment whenever Shane and Otis were at the school. And Shane killed him and had the nerve to lie to everyone about it. And he just lied straight to their faces. And pretty much confirmed it whenever he came out to the woods just for the guns. And what spiked after that moment, the monster that he slowly started to devolve into. He once again sees this before his eyes. Shane, one of the big leads in the group before Rick came back. And once he did, Shane was just too far gone and a monster beyond imaginable belief. And when his mind flashes back this time, Glenn is literally shaking him and trying to get him out of a trance. And this is very different from the two other moments where Dale's mind flashed. Once was a dream, and the other two were like people noticing, that of which being Tyrese and Reg. But this time, Glenn is literally shaking him viciously to get him out of this state. And Dale doesn't even understand why this time, because he's that confused. But when he looks at why Glenn's shaking him, he sees what's just happened. Nicholas is lying dead on the ground with a shotgun bullet wound straight through the center of his neck. And Glenn is literally shaking him not only to see why this happened, but Dale is just like, he doesn't know what Dale's kind of like, he's off in his own world, and Dale wants to know what just happened, because he's just as confused. And Glenn, this makes him even more confused, because he wasn't even there to see what happened. He was hiding and waiting for the moment to get Nicholas. He didn't see the end result. All he heard was the gunshot, and to see Dale be confused, he thought Dale was dead. But whenever Glenn sees what's going on, he tells Dale he killed Nicholas. Dale must have killed Nicholas because he heard a gunshot and he thought that Dale was injured or Dale shot him in the leg. But why did he kill him? We were only supposed to detain him. And this makes Glenn very, 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 very concerned because he didn't expect Dale to do this. He doesn't know what's going on with Dale right now. And he looks so angry whenever he was in his own train of thought. Whenever Glenn was trying to shake him out of that trance, he looked so angry. And Dale's like, Glenn, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, my mind flashed for a moment, but I don't remember killing Nicholas. We said that we were going to detain him. We were talking and then everything just went red. But he said that he didn't kill him. And this makes Glenn even more concerned and confused. But then he sees something very serious and he starts to get closer for a closer look. And what he sees terrifies him. 50% of Dale's right eye is completely blood red. If you guys didn't see the red or pay attention to the red factor before that was slowly starting to consume Dale's eye with each red flash, now it should be undeniably noticeable. Dale's whole half of his eye is now completely blood red. And Glenn, he doesn't know what to think. And Dale, he doesn't even know what's going on either. All he had ever been told is like, hey, are you alright? And now this. He doesn't know what's going on. But Glenn, this just makes him scared, confused. He doesn't know what to think about any of this stuff. And he tries to tell Dale, what is with your eye? What happened? And he starts to like comfort Dale and see what's going on and like see the damage, but just then Dale viciously shoves Glenn to the side very, very aggressively. It's like Dale was just, it's like a moment of Dale just flashed to pure malice. And Glenn getting shoved down, he is beyond confused by this point. He is sad, terrified. What? And he tells Dale, what happened to you, Dale? Your eye shooting Nicholas? Hurting me? What's going on? And now Glenn's even starting to get a little bit angry. And he doesn't want to get angry at Dale, but just then Dale snaps back. And he's like, he just realized what he did. He shoved Glenn, the person besides Andrea and Amy that he cared most about. And he's like, he's immediately apologetic. And he's like, I don't know what came over me. And he's actually like sincere in the fact that he did not mean to do that to Glenn. And Glenn can pick up on this and see that Dale, he honestly has no idea what is going on. But then he remembers something Dale just told him. There might be one way they can figure out what's going on before they head back to Alexandria, because killing Nicholas, there ain't no way back from that. But there might be one way they can find out why Dale's eye is like that. And then he asks Dale, how many times has your mind flashed red? Because you just told me that your mind flashed red. How many times has this happened? And then Dale recalls 3. Once at the hospital, once at Father Gabriel's church, and then once here, whenever they arrived. And then now. So Glenn must have deduced, or he did deduce, that something other than his arm and getting shot, something else must have happened to him. And when they checked all over, maybe Dale's eye just wasn't noticeable enough yet. That's all he can deduce, and Dale's like, he doesn't know what to think, so that's the only logical conclusion that they can come up with. Something else must be going on with Dale, and they gotta go back to Alexandria now. And even if Pete's like not really, going to help him because of obvious reasons, they gotta go back now and tell everybody what happened and figure out what the frick's going on with Dale. And they go back to Alexandria to try and figure it out. Speaking of Pete, that's the big next thing. Carol, at this point, has more than enough motive and incentive to go and threaten Pete after what's just happened, just like her canon counterpart. Because of her not catching on to Pete's, attitude and who he was much sooner, whenever she should have known who he was, and for what he's caused Jesse and Sam and all that. So now, just like her canon self, she's come to threaten him and ask for help with Tara. But will it go the same way? At this point, do you think that Pete, he already didn't listen, but what route of not listening or listening do you think it's going to go with this time, since Pete saved Carol's life with her throat? Do you think that it's just going to make Pete kill her and anybody else? Could it lead to more than one death in the community? And what's going on with Dale's eye? Now that it's completely noticeable to Glenn and now going to be to everyone in the group, what's it going to lead to for the rest of the story and the group? And with Dale's eye and Pete being a menace still in this situation, can they even get out of what trouble might be arousing within the next parts? And that's where we leave things for the moment. A very good bit of conflict was arose in this one, even if it was just down to Dale, Nicholas, and Glenn. But I felt that that was good enough, especially now that it ties into sort of more of the mystery of why Dale's eye is red and like what's going to tie into that. I definitely think that it was much needed for an episode just to be featured around that, and then the next episode's going to feature on the conflict with Pete mainly, and then Dale and Glenn making their way back to Alexandria. But I hope you guys enjoyed this part nonetheless and are enjoying the story, because we are slowly but surely wrapping up the story little by little. So, hope you guys have enjoyed this huge heck of a ton of a long ride, because we've got plenty more conflict and awesomeness for what the rest of the story will bring. And I'll see you guys next time.